Welcome back, my friends, to another tutorial. It's been a while. I know I missed last week. I've just been so busy with work and trying to get commissions ready for people. I'm way behind on a lot of paintings and commissions. Um, and I'm just very busy with work, taking on extra shifts at work, that kind of thing. And my back is not great either. I'm kind of suffering now with my back for this past couple of weeks. So it's very difficult. I'm finding it very difficult to sit down for long periods of time, and I'm finding it very difficult to stand up for long periods of time. So it's a tricky balance. So it's been a very rough couple of weeks. I'm really suffering now with my back. It's just constantly there. I think I may have slipped a disc again. I did have surgery a few years back on a disc in my back, so he told me the chances of it herniating again are very high because it's so weak. So I'm thinking that's what it is. I take painkillers regularly for it. They do help to take the edge off the pain, but I tell you something, back pain is the worst kind of pain you can inflict on anyone because you need it for everything. You know what I mean? It's the core of your body is your back. So I've been kind of in a lot of pain recently now, and I'm trying to do everything and trying to keep myself busy. But it's just very tricky, especially when you've extra shifts to do at work, that kind of stuff. So it's been very tricky for me to get as much painting as I wanted done. I couldn't do what I wanted to do these past 2 weeks. But I'm here now. It's early in the morning here. It's around 9:30 a.m. here now in Cork, in Cork City. I'm going to paint something. I've kind of saw this online, and I got this off Pixabay, I think it was, where you can get free reference photographs to use for painting. It's a great site. You should go and take a look. Um, it's a street scene, okay, of a very dark alleyway, right? Try and picture this. It's a very dark alleyway, but at the very end of that alleyway, there's like a sunlight bursting through, coming down the alleyway from the opposite side. So it's very bright and sort of yellow and sunlit in the center, but then it fizzles out to a very dark alleyway, okay, with people kind of standing talking, that kind of thing. It's it's a simple enough scene to paint. Um, Mixing the colours will be tricky. Well, not mixing the colours, but getting the balance right between light and dark will be tricky. It's going to be a really fun painting for you to try if you're interested in that type of thing. I normally do like to paint landscapes a lot, but it's nice to take a change from landscapes and sometimes and just try something different, something a little different, just to kind of push yourself a little bit. Because I find a lot of people tend to get comfortable with landscapes, and they tend to paint the same types of landscapes all the time. Um, I think it's a good idea just to push the envelope just a little bit and try something that you maybe might not be interested in trying, you know, before. Try something slightly different. I find this image, it just kind of sort of pulls you in. It pulls you in. It just wants to kind of pull you in, and you want to kind of look and see what's going on in the scene. So I thought I'd try it this week for you. I'm doing a big painting. Um, I will be doing a lot of knife work in this as well. So it'll probably more than likely turn into a nice painting, if you know what I mean. So I'm using a 16 by 12, 20 canvas, a 20 by 16 canvas, okay? A portrait format, and I'll explain to you there in a minute when I get my camera set up here on the canvas. So enjoy the tutorial. Again, thank you so much to my patrons for your support. I'll have a Patreon video coming up very soon, which I think you'll like. If you want to support me, go up to Patreon. There's lots of extra videos there for you to practice on and try. Okay? Thank you so much anyway. And please do subscribe. Do subscribe. Also, I was thinking about the idea of setting up Twitch, which is live streaming. So I basically live stream the painting as I paint it, and I interact with people then on the screen, with viewers, with yourselves, asking me questions, that kind of thing. So I would interact with you, but at the same time, I'm recording the video for my YouTube channel, if you understand what I mean, which I'll edit then later on. So I think it's a good way for people to interact with me live as I paint. So let me know what you think. It's something that was suggested to me. I might try it just for a bit of fun, see how it goes. All right, enough of me blabbering on here. Let's go and have a bit of fun with this painting. Don't go anywhere. Okay, here we go. There's the reference photograph now. There it is. I don't know what to think of it. I think it's lovely. I think it just kind of captures the imagination and it kind of brings you in and it encourages you to kind of, you know, look into the painting, see what's going on. So I'm going to try this just for a bit of variety, I suppose. See if we can create a nice dramatic painting from this. What do you think? I'm just going to do a very quick sketch, just where the buildings sort of go into the light a little bit. It comes down and I'm going to create a sort of perspective in the alleyway here then, you see. I'm going to come up to around there and I'm going to go like that. Okay. Over there, and then we have this big kind of dark sort of wall that goes up here into the darkness. So it's just this kind of area which is going to be bright. I think this is going to be wonderful. I really do. A quick sketch, just a very rough. I'd probably end up going over most of this anyway, but just to get a very rough idea of where the darks are, so I don't put in too much bright with all of this. And there we are. Just very, very loose. This will be all dark here, so I have a couple of lights sort of coming down like this. Okay, let's say there's a bit of a wall there, then another couple of small ones, like so, okay? It's just to create a rough impression of where we want to be. Okay, that's fine. Let me tell you what colours I have. I have titanium white, Naples yellow, cadmium yellow, a little phaylo blue, some alizarin crimson, cadmium red, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and a little black. Okay, that's my colours. I primed this once and I just used a very light sandpaper just this minute to give it a very light rub, okay? Just like that, all the way around, very, very quickly like that, just to soften it and smoothen it down. It's now lovely and smooth. I have a little turpentine with some linseed oil in it, okay? A little amount, that should be fine. And some paper towels, alright? That's it. I'm going to start blocking in all of this with my, let me just make sure this is, it's recording, fine. I'm going to start blocking in this with my large stubby brush. And I'm going to start in the centre. I think I'll work from the centre out. Alright? I'm going to start with a very bright whitey yellow up here. So let me just dampen my brush. Okay. Now, I do have a little bit of green on my brush from the previous painting. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's not good. Because in this painting is very warm. There's no cool colours in this at all. Even the shadows are warm shadows. So I'm just going to be very careful with this now, just for a moment, okay? Let me see, have I another one I can use? I think I'll try this one. A slightly smaller one. Just for that light area. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, a damp brush, Naples yellow, lots of white, okay? Mostly white in this. I'm going to go up here and just start blocking in the light area. Now you can make this very loose. The nice thing about this painting is, you know, we're not painting intricate details like trees or snow on mountains or anything like that. So you can be very, very loose with all of this. Look, very loose. You don't have to be absolutely spot on and perfect with every single piece of this. It's just very loose brushwork. Look, just really scrub it in very, very loosely. This is the type of painting that you can really kind of get your teeth into and really learn a lot from. It's this type of a painting. I'm going to take a hint of burnt umber in that. Okay, and as it comes over, I'm going to start softening it with a little burnt umber. And this is the type of painting where I'm going to probably go back to all of this again at the very end and add colours and add little details with the palette knife, that kind of thing, okay? As this all comes down, I can see a hint of grey in there. It's a very slight hint of a grey before it touches the floor. So I'm going to mix a kind of a mauve hue for this. I'm going to take a tiny amount of crimson, tiny amount of blue, and then lots of white, okay? Now I'm going to just start with this colour and then add more to it. So I'm going to go a little more blue, a little more pink, and I want to take a tiny touch of black. I can see a very soft mauve in there. You probably can't see it now on the reference photograph because it's very far away on your screen. But there's a hint of a mauve kind of a hue coming in, a kind of a grey hue, a little more black in with the pinky colour. Look, so it's a warm grey. That's what I have here now. Look, a warm grey. I'm going to soften that up into that yellowy colour over there, because in the distance everything is kind of muffled. It's all sort of softened together, isn't it? I'm going to take some white into that, and I'm going to put that off in the distance. I don't have any turpentine in this now. This is just more or less sort of paint on its own that I'm scrubbing into the canvas, all right? And just very gently then soften it into where the yellow is up there. So we're just kind of creating impression of shapes in the distance off there, okay? You can kind of see what I'm getting at. It's slowly coming together. Right, I will leave all this footpath till I've finished all this first, okay? This will be the last section. So let's now start adding warmer colours as it comes over. I'm going to just clean my brush quickly on some tissue, dampen it again with a little turpentine. I'll take some Naples yellow, I'll take a hint of burnt sienna, I'll take a hint of burnt umber, and I can put that colour then. Let's see, let's go around here with that colour. I might take actually a hint of cadmium red in there, okay? We'll make it a little on the red side. And I'm allowing for this then, you see, to mix into that colour up there. You see what I mean? And it'll lighten as it goes in. I'm not too fussy about all this stuff here because there's loads of wires and cables and all that sort of thing going on up there. So I'm not too particularly worried about that section, all right? I just want to create a nice glow up here. I'm dipping into my Naples yellow now, okay? Because the sunlight is coming around the corner and it's going to be catching lots of these buildings here, okay? I'll take a hint of burnt umber into that, and I'll take a hint of cadmium red, and I might take a hint of Naples yellow, and then putting that colour just in here. I'll take a touch of turpentine just to soften it ever so slightly, and again more Naples yellow. I might take a hint of cadmium actually as well, just in there, and I'm going to soften that kind of browny yellowy hue into my purple as well, okay? And I'm just sort of dragging it in sections, creating little lines, you see? Little lines here and there, as if it's little buildings and little corners of buildings, that kind of thing. And different sections of buildings. And leave it all go up here and fizzle out into that area up there, okay? So, let's bring it down here. I'm going to take some yellow, I'm going to take some cadmium red, and I'm going to pop this nice rich colour in here. So you can see now we're starting to get that nice bright to dark effect, okay? Just ever so slightly. Now what I want to do next is, before I continue on with this, let me just clean my brush for a moment. I'm going to make a dark shadowy colour. I'm going to take some black, a little blue, some crimson, and I'm going to just pop a little shadowy colour in just here and there. Soften it up then, look, and it's just disappearing. Now I'm going to take a small pointy brush, okay, very small detail, and a lot of people ask me about my brush. It's just a regular 0 soft synthetic brush, all right? Number 0. I'm going to take some burnt umber and I'm going to mix it into this sort of Naples yellowy colour. So it's a soft cappuccino colour, okay? Soft coffee colour. I'm going to just start creating some impression of cables and all that sort of thing. Let's take a bit of grey. Suggest a few uprights here. You know, edges of buildings, that sort of thing. It's just to separate the buildings, that's all it's trying to achieve. Separate some of the buildings, giving them a little bit more definition. You can create some lateral lines like this. It's all about just creating an impression, okay? Let's go up here and just look, lots of lines going across. And these are very kind of soft. I'm going to take a little bit of white actually into that. These are going to be very, very soft lines. Very random, look. Very, very random lines. Some will be kind of stronger than others. Some will be thicker, some will be thinner. It's just, I'm trying to create this impression of a very busy alleyway. Very, very busy, lots going on. Lots of stuff happening. I'm not sure where the scene is from actually. It looks to me like it could be, I don't know, like maybe Japanese or Korea or somewhere like that. One of those kinds of alleyways. I don't know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But anyhow, it's a beautiful scene. It really is. Very eye-catching. I love these types of scenes. Take some grey. Now, it gets very dark in this side, doesn't it? With all these wires. So I'm going to start darkening it now. I'm going to use some burnt umber. And I'm going to use a little crimson. Little cadmium red, perhaps. Because it's very dark, but it's very warm at the same time. Okay. And I'm going to start creating some shape, some not detail, I won't call it detail, just some more solid kinds of shapes, okay? That's all. We take a bit of burnt sienna. There's a lot of burnt sienna in this. Couple of dark lines here. A lot of this will be done by the palette knife as well. I will be doing that with the palette knife in a moment. The palette knife can give you a lot of control. I'm going to start putting in one or two. For example, we have some nice dark signs, some nice signage in there. So I'm going to take a small flat brush, just give it a quick clean. And we have some nice soft signs in the distance there. I'm going to take some Naples yellow, cadmium yellow, and a little cadmium red. I'm going to create a nice soft orangey kind of a hue. And I'm going to just start putting in a few signs. And I'm making them this nice orange because the light coming around the corner will be catching these. And it's almost like the sunlight popping through. So the sunlight coming through the sign. Do you understand? So it's kind of coming together nicely now. I'm happy with this so far. I create a nice little hint of light here, a little hint of light there. We'll have another one coming off this side. So you see, I'm only just giving it brush strokes. That's all I'm doing. I know a lot of people might look at this and think, oh God, you know, there's too much detail in this now for me. I can't do this. I'm just thinking, as I'm doing this right now, I'm just thinking brush strokes, okay? Look. Boom, boom, boom. Little brush strokes. That's all I'm thinking. Just adding a little light here and a little light there. And I'm trying to keep it simple, okay? I'm going to go for a little pink, perhaps just at the base of this, little pink there. Let's put a little one over here. Now I'll take a little sienna, pop a little sienna into this one. I mean, you can get the idea. I'm just kind of simplifying it as best I can. I don't want to go overboard. I'm going to start darkening it now, for example, with some sienna. I don't want to go overboard. Then I'm going to go back to my small pointy brush, and I'm going to just start crossing in front of some of those with some wires. I'll get some burnt umber with some thinners, and there's just lots and lots of straggly kind of wires all over the place down here. There's a big bunch of them right there, so I'm going to just take my small brush with some burnt umber on the brush, and I'm just going to start filling this in. In fact, I'll take some cadmium red as well, and I'm just going to darken this like so. And this then, you see, phases out into the background up here, the very dark alleyway background. See, it just kind of almost becomes one, doesn't it? But it's such a nice way to paint for a change. Now I'm going to start adding lots of siennas and cadmium reds into this, because I really want to get that warmth in some of these. So here, for example, there's a lovely warm sign just here. Just going to pop a little bit of reddy sienna into that. Cadmium red and sienna, and I'm going to pop a little into this one as well. And then we have a very rich spark of red just there. Okay. Just going to go like that for now. Let's get some cadmium yellow into the mix. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my smaller flat brush, just do some more work on some of those. So for example, I'm going to get some cadmium yellow, some Naples yellow, and a little white. And I just want to add a little light to some of those, okay? So let's imagine there's some lighter ones as well. And just suggesting little details. Okay, so let me just add a hint of dark across that. Okay, and I'm going to darken this one up here just slightly as it goes up into the darkness. Then I'm going to let's take some cadmium red, and let's just put an impression of some letters on some of these. And I'll try some burnt sienna. Try some burnt sienna on some of these. It's just very abstract, you see. I'm just suggesting some writing. That's all. It's all very abstract. But the real impact in this then will be when we come to this dark surrounding, you see. Now I'm just going to darken this sign up here, just at the corner, you see. darken it out. Like so. Now I'm going to start putting in a few more of those straggly kind of wires, okay? Because there's a lot of them in there. So I'm just going to pop a few more. Kind of softening them into the distance slightly. Okay? I want to get a few. A few little darker lines here, just to break up this area just slightly. Okay? And put a little, suggest some different lines just here and there. You see? So it's just sort of giving you subtle details, but they're not actual details. It's like painting details without painting details, if you like. It's just, what this does is, I find, for me, it just lets the viewer fill in some of the blanks, basically. So your eyes will fill in what's going on. Does that make sense? Let me just give it a little perspective here, a little bit there. Okay, so now you can see a little perspective going on. You can soften it out then just a little. Let's get some of that nice rich red. Okay, then I'm going to take some burnt umber and go up here and start giving some of these lots of thick wires going up out of the painting. Burnt sienna, burnt umber. It's just a very messy area up there, isn't it? I can see it's just very, very messy. So I'm going to move on now to this kind of section up here. And I'm just basically going to go with some burnt sienna. I'll go with some burnt sienna first. We have a nice corner here which sort of cuts across everything. And this dark then down here, it's really dark. So it's a really nice contrast against the bright alleyway. So I'm going to go with burnt umber, cadmium red and burnt sienna. So it's a warm dark, okay? Very rich colour. And it sort of fizzles out, doesn't it? Up into all this dark area. Then I'm going to start darkening this area up here. Now I'm just going to sit back for a moment and take a quick look. There you see, that's not bad, is it? It's not bad. We will add more to this later as we go, okay? Now I'm going to switch brushes just to get a bit more filling in done with this. So I'm going to go with burnt umber, a little hint of cadmium red, and I'm just going to start filling in some of this here. And it's a real fun way to paint. I don't know if this is going to be a two-part or a one-part. I really don't know how it's going to go. Because sometimes things can happen very quickly. Other times it can take a long time. But I'll aim for 50 minutes, maybe 40, 50 minutes or something like that. Putting all this here. Look, let's get all this filled in. I'm adding plenty of turpentine into my mix now with this. Little black, a little brown. I just want to get this filled in. That's all I want to do. Get it all nicely filled in. Little brown, little red. So I'll just bring the alleyway down like this first, just for now. I just basically want to cover the white canvas. That's all I'm trying to do. A little black with a little cadmium red. A bit more cadmium red. Fill that right in. There we go. And Now, what I'm going to start doing is, let me just get some cadmium red on my palette. So I'm going to start adding splashes of that rich colour. So I can see splashes of like a cadmium red with sienna. Cadmium red, lots of sienna. You can see lovely splashes of that colour here and there. So I'm just going to start adding some of that in. First, I'll bring out some on this here. Then I'm going to start making some darker colours, okay? So I'm going to go with some burnt umber, some black, a little cadmium red, and I'm going to just start darkening this now to create different buildings in silhouette, okay? And this will all kind of disappear into the roadway as well. So don't worry about this sharp line here, okay? You're not going to see this. Let's give it a little punch just there. So we have another corner of a building there. Just adding one or two little details. And you can see it now really starting to kind of come out into its own, isn't it? I think this is going to be quite nice. I hope it is. And I'm going to create some kind of shapes in the shadows as well. Because even though it's in shadow, you can still see hints of colour, can't you? Little tiny hints of colour here and there. So like here, for example, I'm just going to give it one or two touches of colour. I'll go with a little sienna. There. Okay, I'm going to take some black with the red, and I'm going to really fill this in nice and dark here first, like this. Okay, give that some nice darkness down there. And you can see I'm creating perspective in the alleyway just by doing these lines here, okay? So I'm imagining it's some kind of a shutter or something off a shop front. So I'm just creating some perspective with that as well. See, that's making a big difference. And it's just lots of crisscrosses going through each other, uprights, horizontal, vertical, just a lot of that, okay? Let's take some burnt sienna, and I'm going to pop some burnt sienna in there as well. Now I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm going to go to a slightly smaller brush. Let me see. Yeah, a slightly smaller flat brush, okay? I'm going to take some cadmium red, cadmium yellow. Let me just have a look here now. And I'm going to pop slight hints of that in here and there, look. So just to kind of capture some light. Do you understand? Maybe a hint of Naples yellow as well. Not too much Naples yellow in this. And even here, for example, could be capturing some of those in the alleyway, you see? But they need to be nice and rich. So a nice orangey colour. Cadmium red and cadmium yellow, I think, together will do absolutely fine for this. A little bit more on the red side, I would say. Let's get one just here, nice upright. And there could be a piece catching in front of that. And it's just like I'm only trying to suggest little things, that's all. Cadmium yellow, cadmium red again. Okay, I want to put a nice splash of colour just here in front of that. Okay. Now it's coming on nicely. Right, I'm going back to my slightly bigger brush now, and I'm standing for this because the light from the studio is hitting the top portion of this here, so I can't really see the colour properly because there's kind of a slight haze on it. So I'm going to stand, and I'm basically just going to reach across, get some black with some cadmium red, and I'm going to go up here and just make this really nice and dark, okay? I want to darken this up right across as well. So I'm not going all the way, I just want to kind of bring it like from a lighter brown to really dark brown to a black. Does that make sense? So now I'm going in with my black, look, nice black colour in there. And the nice thing about this is that all the colours are mixing together on the canvas. So it gives you wonderful colours. I'll soften some of these back, look, just slightly. And a nice dark black down here. And it's really a lot of fun doing this. So I think now I'll just hold at that for a moment. I'll move to the other side. Okay, I'll stand back and take a quick look at this. Let's see how we're getting on. That's not bad. Not bad at all. So I'm going to put my big brush down now. What I'm going to do is move to a dry brush. I'm going to take some white, some of that bright yellow, and I'm going to pop some of that colour in around the centre here, just to add a little light, okay? Just a little, not too much. Just focus it around the centre. You see? Little pockets of light colour, even just little pockets of white on its own. Just to brighten that centre, just a little. I might take a little hint of sienna, and I might just darken some of these. Just warm them slightly. Okay. And it's coming on. It's, you know, we're developing our painting. We're developing the work. And it's nice not to have to worry about painting little branches and painting little reflections and all that kind of thing. It's nice just to sit down and splash paint on a canvas. It's really lovely. It really, really is. I'm going to fill in this dark side here. So then we can focus on this lovely centre area, work all the little details in there. Okay? Is that fair enough? Let's go with that. I'll start again now with burnt umber, okay? I'm going to put a nice burnt umber in here. Come down like that. And it just, again, it fizzles, disappears out into the top up there, look, you see? It just sort of disappears. I'll take burnt sienna and put some burnt sienna around, just along the edge of it, with a hint of cadmium red actually. When I get a nice warm glow just around the edge. Now, let's fill this in, and we're going to go really dark then as it comes in. Okay? You could actually, a good idea, thinking back on it now, I could have tinted my canvas a nice burnt sienna or a nice burnt umber. I could have. That's another nice way of doing it, of getting all these dark values in first. Just tint your canvas, give it a very thin wash of burnt sienna, we'll say. Maybe even adding some burnt umber in along the way. That will give you all your dark colours, and you can work in lights. But that's slightly tricky then, you see. That's a different way of painting. You're really going from dark to light then. But I just find working on a white canvas, for me, it just brings out the crispness of some of the colours. It just gives you a lovely crisp colours, you know. It shows the hue of the colour really lovely, rather than working on something which is a different colour. So I'm going to now take my small brush and go back and start just adding some little details. Well, you know, not details, but little wires, that kind of thing. Okay, go with some black again up here and create a little bit of shape up there. And it's really a lot of fun. It really is. It's, you know, it's actually such a relief, especially if you're worked, you know, when you've worked all week and you're really tired, and you know, you sometimes, for me, I don't know about you, but sometimes for me, I don't have the mentality to sit and do an intricate landscape. So I just like to do some nice free work like this. Just, you know, just nice and simple. Free, not kind of rushed or anything like that, and seeing what comes together and seeing what happens. I love painting like that. It's fantastic. I'm going to do a few crisscross here, okay, just to make that look extra busy up there. And I'll do a few then, actually. I'm going to do a couple from these, because these signs are full of wires, aren't they? They're absolutely full of wires. Everything in, I'd say, you know, these cities, Japan or Korea, China, I'd say everything is used for something, so they put wires everywhere. So wherever they can fit them, they will put them, you know. So it's really busy. The scene is really busy. There's lots going on. Just refine some points in that. Look, let's suggest a little detail there. Suggest one or two there. And again, as I keep saying, it's about making the scene look busy, as if there's lots of stuff going on in the distance. Lots of stuff kind of moving around, lots of different shapes, lots of different colours. Okay. Now, I'm pretty happy with that so far. So now I'm going to go into some black, and I'm going to darken this. Okay, just like that. And what I'm going to do then is take a smaller brush. I'm going to take some cadmium red, little burnt sienna, and some cadmium yellow. And I'm going to just, with that bright colour, pop little hints of that kind of orange in just here and there. Take some sienna again, some cadmium red. Now, I'm going to add then some lights to some of these wires, okay? Because these wires are catching the light as well. So even with some cadmium red, look. Catching some of that light coming around the corner. Cadmium yellow, cadmium red. Nice bright colour. Okay. Put a hint of light through here and there, just to suggest the light sort of breaking through in some parts. Now, how about that? That's not coming on bad now so far, is it? We're getting there slowly. albeit slowly, but we are getting there. I'm going to take some black and I'm just going to go up here and reinforce some of these. And just darken some of this up as well. Okay. And I'm going to come over here and perhaps even add, you know what we could add here as well. Take some black and give a suggestion of some dark wires popping out of the shadows here as well. Okay, I don't really see them, but it might be a good idea to balance the painting out, because you won't have wires just on one side of the street. You'll have wires coming across on all sides, won't you? So I'll take some black and I'll just pop a few little squiggles of wires here and there. Just to give the composition a little balance, yes? And then I'll add some of the lighter colour, that kind of orangey red colour, in here and there. Again, just to add little hints of light. Let's try a little Naples yellow and just pop a little Naples yellow in here and there on some of those wires. And keep cleaning your brush in between. So we have little hints of light. Clean my brush again, take some Naples yellow, pop a little blast of Naples yellow here and there, okay? So I don't want to overdo this. I think I'll just move on to my center here, where all the action is happening. Before I do that, I just see a very bright splash of red. It's like reddy orange, just on one of those flags here, okay? Just going to pop that in. Just like so, alright? Because that was really bright, and that really does catch your eye, doesn't it? Little splash of red just there. Then it kind of disappears in, doesn't it? Now, even that's probably enough. Let me get a splash of yellow for the top of it. And a splash of white then, just to really illuminate this sign here, okay? Right. So we've all that done in 43 minutes. Isn't that just amazing? Absolutely amazing. I'm going to call it a day, I think, just for this part, so I can do my editing, and I'll come back to it then again in a couple of hours and finish it, because I want to leave some of this dry, especially for my lights, okay? So I'm going to leave this dry, and I'll be right back with part 2. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Let me turn the camera if I can. Let me see if I can turn this camera. I hope you can see me okay. My little earpiece. Thank you so much for watching part 1. I hope you got some inspiration, if anything, and I'll be right back with part 2 very, very soon. Don't go anywhere, okay? I'll just let it dry slightly. Happy painting. Thank you so much, and please do subscribe. Don't forget to click that little subscribe button and little bell, so you make sure you get every tutorial. Thank you so much, and God bless.